Welcome back to FryMinis. I'm Julie, and today I'm sharing my favorite flavor builders that added quirks to my characters and that my talented DMs wove into the storyline. If you're new to the channel, first, welcome. I love talking about what makes this game fun for players. If you're a longtime subscriber, thanks for sticking with us. I'm glad that you're here. Our FryMinis September giveaway is running through the end of September 2021, so don't forget to enter. We're giving away the alternate cover versions of Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft and The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, plus a $100 gift card to miniaturemarket.com. Link in the description below. I'd like to talk about character flavor and how we can seamlessly work it into the campaign. This comes to everyone a little bit differently, but I'm going to share 3 examples here, hoping to inspire players and maybe even some DMs. There is so much value in the little, inconsequential choices that we can make that quickly become consequential when you and your DM use them to just drive the story forward. The value in Dungeons & Dragons comes when we tell the story together, when we collaborate around a table to serve everyone, make everyone a hero in some way, and just have a really great time delighting each other as players. With good character stories, we bring everyone into the story instead of just having something told to us. Again, every table is different, every player is different, and every DM is different. If you like an on-the-rails story or enjoy just smashing goblins, there is nothing wrong with that. I love that every now and again too. But I feel that working with everyone at the table to build a collaborative story can usually make a better experience for everyone involved. These little moments are some of the things that you'll remember years later and maybe make a YouTube video about. We all have that one person in our memories who was always losing things or just loved Taco Bell or always had a book in their hand. Maybe you know someone that often whistles or always remembers to send that thank you note. That's not me. Just these small character quirks can help make a character feel alive and become memorable. So here are 3 of my favorite characters' quirks and flavor details that my super talented DMs worked into the storylines. And yes, I have props. Number 1, Tomfas Necklace. First, I want to talk about my very first real D&D character, Tomfa. I created her for our first Adventurers League game, and she was a half-orc Eldritch Knight fighter Tempest cleric. We started as a pickup game at our local game store, and our DM evolved it into a run-through Horde of the Dragon Queen. And I want to stress that this was my first character, so I had her collect a tooth from all of her kills. Yes, a tooth. But I at least committed to the bit. I kept a list of them on my character sheet, and I bought some plastic teeth to actually make a necklace out of, and I wore it when we played. At a pivotal moment in the campaign, my giant, tough fighter who talked like Batman had to go one-on-one against a terrifying warrior. If you know the campaign, you know what I'm talking about. As both player and character, I was confident that I could win, and my whole party had to just sit on the sidelines and watch. And then when I inevitably got knocked out, my DM had the champion take my necklace. It was devastating. It was so humbling, and I had to take stock of who Tomfa was and what I was willing to do and what she was willing to do. After a spotlight moment like that, I took a back seat as a player and a character for a little while. I had a clear vision for vengeance, but it was really scary, and it shaped Tomfa going forward. She did get her necklace back when we, as a party, beat the villain. But that silly, very first character choice to collect teeth paid off. It made for a beautiful moment, and it obviously stuck with me because here I am telling you about it years later. Number 2, the entirety of Madame Truffaut. For another big campaign, I created Madame Truffaut, my character inspired by Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. Check out my video about character inspiration for a little bit more detail on her. So, Madame Truffaut, just like Moira, was fussy and had a lot of stuff. Before the campaign started, we knew we'd be arriving via ship, and then it crashed, but that wasn't the point. Working with my DM, which admittedly was Eric, I created a list of trunks that would have all of her clothes and wigs and treasures. We ended up making it into a D12 list, so every time we were subsequently at the shore, I could roll a D4 of whether I found something. 1 was no, 2 was yes, 3 was yes, but half of it was empty, and 4 was yes, but it was fully destroyed. And at one point, we encountered some NPCs along the shore who were wearing Madame Truffaut's clothes, so I had to work extra hard to negotiate and/or Eldritch Blast them back into my greedy old hands. It was minor, and it only took a minute away from the gameplay at the table, but it was really fun to have a longer storyline going for my somewhat demanding character. And this was a long campaign, so we also had the chance to do a few things kind of along these extravagant lines. For example, when she got Rope Trick, we homebrewed it so that she could decorate the space to her comforts and her liking. I hope this gives you a sense of her tastes. And do note the matching fainting couches for Madame Truffaut and her familiar, Snaky. And on that, Snaky was my familiar and basically my entire reason for being. I made it very clear to Eric that if anything were to happen to my precious snake, I would leave the game. Forever. So, despite his best efforts, thankfully, nothing bad happened. I also wore this fabulous, now tarnished from disuse, necklace at the table each week, representing Snaky comfortably around my neck. As a quick aside, while we're talking props, I obviously love jewelry. You've seen 2 necklaces so far, so the last one isn't a necklace, I promise. Another way that I kept track of things for Madame Truffaut was with a cocktail ring. She clearly loved jewelry and was very elegant, but at the table, it helped me remember when I had concentration spells up. I could put this cocktail ring on my finger, and that was a fussy reminder that I had something to keep track of to do those concentration checks whenever we were in combat. So, props are fun, and they're delightful, and they're awesome, and I love them, but they serve a purpose as well. Number 3, Boulder and Beacon. And finally, my beloved Boulder. Our DM for that campaign was an outstanding storyteller, just amazing. And he introduced this beautiful moment in his fully homebrewed campaign where Boulder had this vision of floating through space and time, and then she was presented with a sword stuck in a rock that was in a temple. My DM made Beacon inspired by a podcast, but he flavored it so perfectly to make it just essential to who Boulder was as a character. I loved it. You can probably see where this is going already, but Boulder pulled the sword out of the rock and it became her weapon, Beacon, or in her New Zealand accent, Beacon. It's subtle, but it matters. A key thing about Beacon is that he had a mouth, a talking sword, and at pivotal moments in the campaign, I could ask Beacon a question, but he was quite surly for a sword, and he wasn't all that trustworthy, but my DM had a puppet that he used of just a mouth. I don't have it here because it was his puppet and COVID, but I invested in my own version of Beacon's mouth. At moments throughout the campaign, Beacon would say things. He could move the story along, and although it was, written by the DM and controlled by the DM, it just made for these incredible moments of growth because Boulder wielded this sword. She wielded this being kind of thing, and she had to decide whether it was leading her in the right way or not. And it just led to countless moments that were fantastic. I won't detail them all here, but it was absolutely incredible. So there you have it, a few little things that made really strong impressions for my characters. Collecting trophies, reclaiming lost treasures, and sentient items all worked out great in our campaigns. There are countless ways to bring a little life to your character, and I'd love to hear how you do it in the comments below. As always, a huge thank you to our patrons, the Spud Club. If you're interested in supporting the channel, please consider heading over to patreon.com/FryMinis. We'd also love to talk to you on Discord about all your favorite items and character flavors. That's discord.gg/FryMinis. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.